Hello and welcome to Rabboni Catholic Community on this third Sunday of Lent. I have a few stories that I'm going to piece together and hopefully bring them together to make sense of today's readings. I'm reminded of an event that happened many years ago when I was a postulant with the Passionists. Father Arthur was the superior. One Sunday, Father Arthur, he was a very soft-spoken man. And after reading the gospel, instead of standing up to preach, he sat down. And as he was sitting down to give the homily, one of my buddies, Kennedy, nudged me, hit me in the arm and says, "What the heck did you do?" We could tell the way he walked into the chapel. We could tell by his temperament that something was up. He needed to talk to us. This was back in the day when you would leave messages on the answering machine, and usually on Sunday mornings somebody would check the messages. But that morning we forgot to check the messages, that is, one of the students. Father Arthur checked the messages. So he wasn't happy with the message that he got that was on the answering machine. So he goes to Mass, he had his prepared remarks, of course, and then he said, "I gotta sit down and talk to you boys." Some of the guys had gone out to the pubs. Some of the brothers had gone out to the pubs, and there was some drinking and dancing there. And somebody called the monastery and said, "The brothers are here at the pub," and it was past midnight on a Saturday. On a Sunday morning, everybody was in church, pretending as if everybody was in their cells the night before. But Father knew that a few people had snuck out, a few of the brothers, and acted the fool. So he sat down to talk to us and say to us, "We've got to go back to the basics, the bare basics. What does it mean to be a postulant? What does it mean to be a religious? Can we just keep the bare basics?" As I read today's gospel passage, that event comes to life. So that is one of the stories. Now, the other movement that I have today is, I want you to think about something, okay? And if you have had this experience, I'm sorry that you have had this experience. Or maybe you know somebody who has had this experience. Do you know, or have you ever been in a toxic relationship? Or have you known somebody who has been in a toxic relationship and have had the courage to walk out of that abusive relationship? I want you to go back to that moment when you decided to walk out of this toxic or abusive relationship. What did you say to yourself? Or what did that person say to themselves? I would imagine that one of the things that you say as you leave a toxic relationship is, "Never again." That relationship has now defined any other relationship that you will have. You have developed some red flags that you can notice from a distance, and you know what that means. In the next relationship, you can see them from a distance and say, "I am not touching that. I am not going there," because of how that toxic or abusive relationship was. And when you say "never again," you're going to use your experience of that relationship, bad relationship, to create maybe a good relationship, something new. That's story number 2. The third thing I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to tie these together. When I went into seminary many years ago, I was very clear about what happened at Mount Sinai when God came down and gave the commandments to Moses. It was clear in my mind that God spoke and Moses wrote down the commandments. This is how it happened back in the day. God used to speak in a clear voice like this. And above all, it was very clear to me how it all happened because I watched the movie, The Ten Commandments. And so when I go into seminary and we are studying the Decalogue, I think we took a semester or two to study the Decalogue, I was quite shocked when one of the professors said it did not happen like it happened in the movie. Yes, it could have happened that way, but chances are it did not happen like that, because God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. God spoke, God speaks, God will speak. So, as we look at the Decalogue, what is the takeaway? How did the people of Israel come up with these 10 words? Chances are they used their Egyptian experience as a foil upon which to build a new experience. So the Decalogue are a mirror somehow of what happened in Egypt. This is out of an abusive, toxic relationship with the Pharaoh. They were, and they used that relationship to build a new life. For example, commandment number 1, you shall have no other God but me. But think about it. In Egypt, the Egyptians had many gods. There was the god of the sunrise, the god of the sunset, the god of the rain, the god of the sun. There's many, many gods, right? In the new Israel, there is only one God. What is this saying? It is reminding the Israelites, we are not the Egyptians. You shall not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. The gods of the pharaohs are called in vain. They swear up and down. In the new Israel, they don't even, in this new nation that they are building, they don't even mention the name of God. It is Adonai. It is reverent. You shall keep the Sabbath holy, because God worked for 6 days and on the 7th day he rested. Really, if God rested because he got so tired creating the world, that's a problem. We don't want a God who runs out of energy, do we now? This has nothing to do with God. It is because in the Egyptian experience, they had absolutely no day of rest. They were worked to the bone. In their new experience, they have a day, even for the poorest, to have some rest. Honor your father and your mother. What is broken in the Egyptian experience? What is broken in the Egyptian experience is the family unit. In the new experience that they are creating for themselves using this horrible experience, what they are creating for themselves is a new life where father and mother are honored, where the family unit is restored. You shall not kill. In the Egyptian experience, they are killed like flies. In the new experience, they will honor life. You shall not steal. In the Egyptian experience, they owned nothing. Everything was taken from them. And this is restored in the new life. So you see this dance of the Egyptian experience being used to create a beautiful, wonderful relationship. That is a calling that you and I can also have with our own experiences. We can use what we have had to create a new experience. It happens many, many times. Hey, this is the easiest homily to preach in the United States. Because when the founding fathers sat down to write the Constitution, what are they saying in that Constitution? What they are really saying is, we are not the British. Well, we will have representative governments, because where we came from, they didn't have representative governments. I was talking to a young lady not so long ago who went through a divorce, and after that divorce, she and her friend went down to a coffee shop and they sat down and they wrote down what they would be looking for in the new relationship if she was ever to have another relationship. Every experience that we go through is ground we can use to build even a better world a better experience. So I like to meditate on the Decalogue in that manner, and we can dive into the each particular commandment, like you shall have no other god but me. We all worship something. We all worship something. The question is, what do we worship? What do we spend our time, money, and energies on? God suggests, if we lose our focus, we lose our balance, to go back and have God first. The gospel passage is an interesting one. It is the only one, or one of the few ones actually, that are found in all four gospels. What is interesting in this particular case is that for Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they put this event towards the end of the journey of Jesus when he gets to Jerusalem. For John's gospel, he puts it at the very beginning, which is very, very interesting, which suggests probably that Jesus had more than one trip to Jerusalem. Nonetheless, have you ever done a cleanse? One of those gym people who they do these cleanses and they're trying to get rid of the toxins and all. I love food too much to do a cleanse, but they tell me it's hard work. Today, Jesus invites us to do a cleanse of the soul. Stop. You have to stop every now and then and take a closer look at the business that goes on within the heart. Now, coming from the African experience, when Jesus says, do not make my Father's house a marketplace, it rings a little different for me, because back home we have what we call going to the mall, to the grocery, and going to the market, going to the shops and going to the market. The shops, they have the price written down and you pay what is written on the counter, what is designated. There is no bargaining. The market experience is a different one. It is a cunning one. That in the market experience, there is bargaining. In the market experience, there is taking advantage of each other, and everyone wants to make a deal. When he says, "Do not make my Father's house the marketplace," he's saying to me in a very clear way that my soul is not a place to bargain for things. This is a place for God. For your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Don't make it loud by bringing in the market principles, because those principles might not align with the principles of God. Give to God what belongs to God. Give your soul, your heart, the space that it needs to reflect God. Bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.